Shri Sai Ram, Dhyana Vahini by Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba, Chapter 1, The Splendor of Meditation and its Practice. People have to be doing some karma or action or other from the moment of waking to the moment of sleeping, that is to say, from birth to death. They cannot sit quiet without doing action. Whoever he be, he has no means of avoiding this predicament, but each one has to understand clearly which kind of action he has to be engaged in. There are only two types: Vishya karmas, or the sensory or binding actions, and Shreya karmas, actions that liberate. Still, the Vishya karmas, or the actions that bind, have increased beyond control, and as a result, sorrow and confusion have increased. Through these, no happiness and peace of mind can be gained. On the other hand, the Shreya karmas, actions that liberate, yield progressive joy and auspiciousness with each single act. They give Atma Ananda, bliss to the soul, and are not concerned with mere external joy. Though the acts may be external, the attraction is all towards the internal. This is the right path, the true path. Actions that bind include all activity in relation to the exterior objects. Such actions are usually resorted to with a desire for the result. This craving for the results lead one to the morass of ahamkaram and mamkaram, I and mine, and the demons of lust and greed. If one follows this path, there will be a sudden flares as when the ghee or clarified butter is poured in the sacrificial fire. Assigning priority to Vishya or sense objects is the same as assigning importance to Visha or poison. Therefore, while engaged in those activities and in those sense objects, if one has no interest in the result or consequence, then not only can one be victorious over the feelings of I and mine and greed and lust, he can also be far away from all such traits. He will never be troubled by such traits. Shreya karma, or liberating action, is pavitra or pure, nirmala, faultless, niswaratha or unselfish, and nishchaya or unswavering. Its characteristic is the importance given to the idea of nishkama karma, action without any desire of the fruits thereof, which was elaborated in the Bhagavad Gita. The practice of this discipline involves the development of satya, truth, dharma, righteousness, shanti, peace, and prema or love. While on this path, if one also takes up the discipline of remembering the name of the Lord, where else can he acquire more joy and bliss? It will give the fullest satisfaction. If everyone treads this holy path, the Lord Himself will bestow on each all that is needed, all that is deserved, and all that will give peace of mind. Offer everything to the Lord without any desire for the result. That indeed yields full joy. That is indeed the easiest. While it is very difficult to speak untruth and act against dharma, it is very easy to utter the truth and walk on the path of dharma. It is a very pleasant task to speak out the thing just as it is. One need not spend a moment of thought about it. To speak of what is not, one has to create the non-existent. That plunges one into fear and fantasy in an atmosphere of restlessness and worry. So, instead of following Vishya karma or sensory actions that bind, which offers all such troubles and complications, follow Shreya karma or actions which liberate. the Atma Ananda Marga or the path of Atmic bliss, which is Satya, true, Nitya, eternal, and Pavitra, holy. The best means for following the path of Atmic bliss is meditation. The best means for following the path of Atmic bliss is Dhyanam or meditation. Today, men with newfangled ideas argue how meditation is to be done and even why it should be done, but they do not know either its taste or its purity. That is why there is so much argumentation and cynical laughter. My present intention is to instruct such people. Therefore, I am telling this. See, everyone in the world has the nature of behaving and acting in two different ways, one outside and another inside. This is known to all, though generally men do not show this out publicly. Just as people lose even the little joy that they have worrying over the factions they may have in their family, so too people lose their internal peace when they are pursued by various physical obstacles and troubles. For an example to illustrate this, take the instance of a cart. It cannot move by itself, isn't it? It can move only when two bullocks are yoked to it. And the cart can move safely only when those bullocks are trained in the task of drawing carts and when they are used to the road through which they have to pass. Instead, if they are ignorant of the process of drawing carts, if they have not walked on the road taken, if they have never stepped out of their shed, and if they have always only moved round and round the post to which they have been tied in their own mire, the journey cannot proceed, and the cart too will face danger. So also, the cart of Antahkaranas or inner instruments, or the collective name for the manas or mind, buddhi, intellect, chitta, collection of notions, tendencies, ideas and memories, and ahamkaram, sense of ego, cannot move of itself. It must be attached to the externally related bullocks. The buddhi or the intellect and the manas mind. Then only can the cart move forward, following the bullocks' tread. So earlier than the journey, the bullocks, the intellect and the mind should be conversant with the road to the village that the inner senses are eager to reach. They must be trained to proceed in that direction. If this is done, the journey will be easy and safe. Instead of this, if the trot bullocks of buddhi and manas have no knowledge of the roads of satya or truth, dharma, righteousness, shanti, peace and prema, love, and if they have never once trodden that path, the cart and the Antahkaranas themselves might come to grief. Even if they are prodded to proceed, they will only drag the cart to the familiar post and the accustomed mire of confusion, injustice, cruelty, indiscipline and falsehood. What then of the journey, and when is the arrival to the destination be? Therefore, buddhi or intellect and manas or mind have to be taught the art of drawing the cart and moving steadily along the road. This has to be done by japam, repetition of the Lord's name, and dhyanam, meditation. Man is suffering despair and defeat on account of the waywardness and unsteadiness of the Antahkaranas, inner senses, which itself is a result of his inability to control and guide the bullocks of intelligence and mind, unused as they are to meditation and repetition of the divine name to the extent of not even stepping along that path. At such a time, the conflicting desires infecting the mind of man have to be quenched and controlled. The mind has to be focused in one direction. Man must walk determinedly, using all his effort towards and for the purpose of the aim and achievement he has set before himself. If this is done, no force can pull him back. He can attain the position which is his due, with the goal or vision fixed on the Paramatma, Supreme Atma or God, plunge the wayward mind, which is fleeing in all directions, in the contemplation of the name of the Lord. The effect of this will be like concentrating the rays of the sun through a piece of magnifying glass. The rays converge and develop the power of a flame to burn and consume. So too, when the waves of intellect and the feelings of mind get one-pointedness, through the converging lens of Atma, they acquire Atma Shakti, or the power of Atma, and manifest as the Sarveshwara Jyoti, or the universal divine splendor, which can scorch evil and illumine joy. Everyone is able to gain success in his profession or occupation only through ekagrata, one-pointed attention or concentration. Even the pettiest of tasks needs for its fulfillment the quality of ekagrata, and even the toughest problem yields before unswerving endeavor. Man is endowed with unlimited powers. Not a single one is without it, but the road is missed since he is unaware of this truth. To gain the awareness of this power, he must join the company of the holy. He must strive in sadhana, spiritual discipline, and he must practice japam, the repetition of the divine name, and dhyanam, meditation. Of what avail is it, even though you have each item of provision in plenty, when you do not know the method of cooking them into palatable food? Similarly, man has in himself all the provisions needed for his upkeep and progress, but he discards them lightly and leaves them unused because he is ignorant of the process of benefiting from them. Man must seek to see and understand the Shakti, or universal power, the one without a second, which is the basis of all the multifarious manifestations of name and form in the world around him. The mind flies at a tangent all the time. Dhyanam or meditation is the process by which it is trained to acquire ekagrata, one-pointed attention or concentration. As a result of such sacred meditation on the Paramatma, God, the mind will withdraw from sense objects and the sensory world. At that time, the buddhi or the intellect must assert its authority and command the manas or mind not to entertain any feeling except the thought of the Paramatma, who is the fundamental basis. When its basic truth is known, the mind will not be deluded by the evanescent, the untrue, and the sorrowful. It will, on the other hand, welcome the blossoming of joy, happiness, welfare, and truth, and it will not be affected by sorrow and grief. Purified and transformed by means of dhyanam or meditation, the taste of the fruit is evident when we see the whole of it is eaten with no portion left behind. So too, when the taste of meditation is once discovered, man will discard all doubt and discussions thereon and engage himself fully in it and attain bliss. Therefore, begin dhyanam, each one of you from today, nay, even from this moment. Dhyanam or meditation should be performed enthusiastically with full faith and care and strictly according to the disciplines laid down. If it is so done, it will bestow not only all happiness and all victory, but even the sakshatkaram or vision and realization of the Lord. This is bound with the Vedanta Shastra, knowledge of the self, and also with the Prakriti Shastra, science of the nature. These two are different in only one respect. The scientists of nature are immersed in the objects of life. The philosophers of Vedanta are immersed in the basic truth of life. And man is bound to both these, isn't it? Nature is related to Vishya or sense objects. Vedanta is related to Swarupa, true self. Place a mat of darba grass on it, spread a deer skin on the mat, and have a thin white cloth laid on the skin. Upon this seat, one should sit adopting the Padma Asana or lotus posture. The right foot must be above the left and the left foot above the right. Both legs must be touching the asana seat. The fingers of the hand must be in close touch with each other, and the hands should be placed in the front. The eyes must be either half open or fully closed. Then, by means of mental massage, each and every part of the body, the neck, the shoulders, the hands, the chest, the stomach and its folds, the fingers, the back, the thighs, the knees, the calves and the feet should be relaxed. After this, one has to absorb in one's own favorite name and form of God with Om added. When this is being done, there should be no mental wanderings. The mind must be stable and quiet. No thought of past events, no trace of anger or hatred, and no memory of sorrow or worries should be allowed to interfere. Even if they intrude, they should not be considered at all. To counteract them, one must entertain thoughts which will feed one's enthusiasm for meditation. Of course, this may appear difficult at first. The best time for such meditation is the quiet hours before dawn, between 3 and 5 a.m. One can awake, say, at 4 a.m. First of all, sleep has to be subdued. This is very necessary. In order to keep the hours unchanged, one can set the alarm clock at 4 a.m. and rise. Even then, if sleep continues to bother, its effect can be overcome by means of a bath in cool water. Not that it is essential to bath, it is needed only when sleep gives much trouble. If, in this manner, the path of dhyanam or meditation is rigorously followed, it is possible for one to win the grace of the Lord very quickly. Jai Sai Ram.
साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ